A rigorous body of research now demonstrates that organic is climate-smart agriculture.
Organic farms build healthy soil that capture and store carbon.
And by not relying on fossil fuel-derived fertilizers and pesticides, organic farms reduce energy use and greenhouse gas emissions.
Join us in creating an organic California.
Organic growers are leading climate resilience plans in multiple ways. First, organic growers constantly apply carbon sources, including cover crops, compost, organic fertilizers, and crop residues. Those increase soil organic matter, which is a key for healthy soil.
Some of the most beneficial practices that organic growers implement are cover cropping and crop rotation, as well as composting of agricultural waste. And in areas that are heavily impacted by the outcomes of conventional farming, we have groundwater sources that have been polluted heavily with nitrate to the point that we're looking at a time horizon of thousands of years to actually remediate that problem.
In organic agriculture, we don't use those products. And we see those products showing up in surface and groundwater and harming those ecosystems. With our inputs, they don't have that fate.
Lo orgánico igual no es fácil, pero pues yo decidí ser orgánico porque también es más saludable. No usamos como químicos como para las malezas o para los insectos. Es más con manos trabajamos que con otras cosas. También hay más insectos benéficos, hay muchas mariquitas benéficos, abejitas.
What we know is today, farmers who cover crop are able to utilize those plants as sponges to uptake that residual nitrogen out of the ground, to be able to slow the runoff of agricultural chemicals down into groundwater sources. That in and of itself is such a dramatic land management change that can carry with it 5-10 years of advancement for that drinking water source that's located nearby.
Healthy organic soil can provide nitrogen to plants much more efficiently than conventional systems. Research suggests that healthy organic soil can suppress soil-borne diseases compared to conventional systems. And the common things in all studies is that soil microbes plays a very important role.
The ways that we benefit the environment with our organic farming practices include planting habitat for beneficial insects and pollinators. That's huge. These beneficial insects do the lion's share of our pest control for us.
Healthy soil has multiple benefits, such as increasing soil microbial diversity and improving soil microbial activity. Soil is full of life. A handful of soil can have more organisms than entire human population.
And this was conventionally farmed until this spring. We already have earthworms present in the field, and that is not common in conventional fields. Just because of the buildup of the toxic pesticides in the soil makes it pretty inhospitable for earthworms and other creatures that we do want in the soil.
Organic growers do not use synthetic chemical pesticides, including fumigants, which is notorious to have a lot of environmental and human health impact.
Air quality is something that, is impacted by the aerial application of pesticides, the off-gassing of ammonia and nitrous oxide from dairies, as well as nitrogen fertilizer application, the burning of agricultural waste, which many times is saturated with pesticides. The impacts to local communities, their lungs and bloodstreams, are what we see as a symptom of air quality crises that have been created through this extreme agricultural system that we see in the valley. In terms of ways that organic fixes some of this, not only is organic carrying with it some set of discrete tools, right? To look at a farm holistically and to have an opportunity for that farmer to take into account all the beings that make up a part of that farm, from the plants that are providing the yield, to the soil microbial community underfoot, to the pollinators and the other creatures that provide the important gift of pollination.
Cuando yo inicié, mis hijos estaban chiquitos y en el orgánico se pueden meter, no hay peligro alguno. Les gusta andar entre las verduras o por ahí. A veces también hay algunas flores benéficas también, saludable, la verdura orgánica.
Organic farming can be a part of the solution by both mitigation and adaptation. We need both approaches. And for mitigation, organic farming can increase the carbon sequestration and reduce the nitrous oxide emission. And the adaptation part, organic farmers knows how to adapt to their environment, and then they can lead such approaches and educate other farmers as to how to do it.
California was able to shift to being completely organic in my wildest imagination. How quickly could we turn around the crisis that we're currently facing? What are the changes that could occur if all farmers were transitioning towards a systems management practice that allowed for things like composting instead of open field burning? Today, as we're entering an era when there's a greater understanding about racial equity and environmental justice and the impacts to communities of color, the promise of organic is greater than ever because we're able to connect the realities of the low farm worker life expectancy and these concentrated impacts of industrial agriculture with the promise of organic and put the two together to envision a California where everyone has access to a safe and healthy life.
As we move forward with climate change here, we see it every day on the farm. Climate-smart agriculture, identifying and finding practices and principles that make us more resistant to drought, insects, heat, and water shortages are really the drivers right now on what we're doing in our sustainability program. We're already experiencing issues associated with climate change. We're seeing problems with insects causing diseases that we've not seen before. We're looking at climate-smart agriculture to mitigate those changes and to help us find ways to use less water due to the drought that we have. We need to find practices and principles that make the plants healthier, that can make them resist disease and insects. So we're looking at all avenues right now to try to improve the quality of our crop when the level of challenges continues to increase.
Ahorita estamos cultivando, hemos plantado chícharos, ejotes, queos, cilantro, perejil. Los cultivos se miran que vienen bien. La meta es pues ser un éxito en el orgánico, porque pues mi familia y yo la verdad sí nos gusta mucho. Nos sentimos felices cuando alguien come de nuestras verduras. Es un orgullo para nosotros llevarles las verduras a la mesa.
The time is ripe for California to invest in an organic future.
The urgency of addressing climate change demands building on what we know works.
Everyday organic farmers are at the forefront of implementing nature-based solutions. Support organic farmers to support climate-smart agriculture.